it's me, Cynthia of Complete and Utter Mess, Inspired Mixed Media Tutorials. But today, I'm here with a free project for tinypandora.com.
In this video, I'll show you how I made this retro striped square box with a lid. To create the box base, I used the templates from the Tiny Pandora Easy Cups kit. The kit is available at tinypandora.com. The kit comes with 4 templates. Each template is 8.5 inches long. The widths are 1/2, 3/4, 1, and 1 1/4 inches. You can cut your own templates from cardstock, but these templates are long-lasting and they make it really easy for you to create beautifully domed cuffs or boxes. I also used Tiny Pandora square pairs while making the cane for the box. These are also available at tinypandora.com. They aren't completely necessary, but they do make it super easy to get crisp corners on a square cane. You'll need a few other things to make the box. About 3 ounces of scrap clay for the box base, 2 ounces of Primo Wasabi, 2 ounces of Primo Turquoise, 2 ounces of Primo Ultramarine Blue clay, and a pasta machine, a clay blade, a craft knife, and a 2.5 inch square cutter, an acrylic roller, liquid clay, a cosmetic sponge, a clay extruder with a triangle disc, some patty paper, and a texture sponge. Now, let me show you just how easy it is to make this box. Roll out the scrap clay to the thickest setting on your pasta machine. Lay the templates on the clay and cut around them with your craft knife. Wrap the 1 1/4 inch wide strip of clay around your square cutter. Use your craft knife to trim away any excess. Roll over the seam and then cure the base tented at the manufacturer's recommended temperature for 30 minutes. Once the base has cured and cooled down, use a cosmetic sponge to apply a thin, even layer of liquid clay to the base. Wrap the 1 inch wide strip around the base and trim it if necessary. Then add the 3/4 inch wide strip. Try to keep the strip centered as you wrap. Finally, add the 1/2 inch strip. Use your thumbs to gently press down on the strips. Do your best to keep even pressure on both sides. Don't press so hard that you flatten the edges. Remember, you're trying to create a dome. It takes a little patience, but just keep working until all of the edges are blended and you've created a nice domed shape. Once the edges are blended, use the heel of your hand to further smooth out and refine the shape. Then, cure the box base, tented at the manufacturer's recommended temperature for 1 hour. When the base has cured and cooled down, gently remove it from the cutter. Apply some liquid clay to the bottom of the base. Roll out scrap clay at the thickest setting of your pasta machine. Place the side of the base with the liquid clay onto the scrap clay and press down. Then trim away most of the scrap clay. Don't worry, you don't have to be perfect at this point. Turn the box over and use a clay blade to neaten the edge. I like to hold my blade at an angle, and that creates a nice bevel. When you've finished making the bottom neat, cure the box again, tented at the manufacturer's recommended temperatures for 30 minutes. While the box is curing, start the cane. Begin by rolling out the wasabi, turquoise, and ultramarine clay at the medium setting on your pasta machine. Cut the clay into circles, about the same size as your extruder barrel. Then, stack the circles. I stacked in the following order: ultramarine, turquoise, then wasabi. Gently roll the stacked circles with your hands. You want to get them to adhere to one another, and you want to be sure they fit inside your extruder barrel. Place the clay in the extruder barrel. Then, place the triangle disc over the clay. Place the cap on the extruder, and then extrude all of the clay. Trim the extruded clay into pieces that are about 3 or 4 inches long. Line up 6 or 7 pieces of the extruded clay with the narrow side of the triangle pointed up. Then create a second row with the narrow side of the triangle facing down. When you've finished, your cane should look like this. Cut the cane in half, then stack one half on top of the other. Gently compress the two halves with your hands. Reduce the cane until it measures between 5 and 6 inches long. I use cane caps when I reduce a cane. They really prevent waste at the ends of my canes. The cane caps are available at tinypandora.com. Rolling the cane between 2 square pairs really helps you get nice, crisp corners on your cane. The square pairs are also available on tinypandora.com. When you finish reducing your cane, cut it into thin slices, and then place the slices next to each other on a sheet of paper to create a veneer. My veneer was 10 slices across and 5 slices down. Place a piece of patty paper over your veneer and burnish it with your fingertips. This is to be sure all of the slices of clay adhere to one another. Cut the veneer into diagonal strips. You can use a regular clay blade or a strip cutter like the one I've used here. Then, cut strips from the wasabi, turquoise, and ultramarine blue clay that's been rolled out at the medium setting on your pasta machine. Place the strips next to each other in a diagonal striped pattern. I used a cane strip, an ultramarine strip, a turquoise strip, and then a wasabi strip. Keep placing the strips until you've used all of them up. When you finish placing all of the strips, burnish the veneer again, but this time use a piece of cardstock to avoid getting dips and bumps in the veneer. When you finish burnishing the veneer, apply liquid clay to the outside of the box base. Then, carefully wrap the veneer around the outside of the box. Trim away any excess veneer, but be sure to keep your scraps. When you finish trimming, cure the box again, as before, for 30 minutes. When the box has finished curing, apply some liquid clay to the bottom of the box. Roll out some turquoise clay at the medium setting on your pasta machine. Cut it into a square that's slightly larger than the bottom of the box. Place it onto the bottom of the box and then press from the center outward to remove air bubbles. Use a texture sponge to thoroughly texture the clay. Trim off any excess clay and then cure the box upside down, tented, at the manufacturer's recommended temperatures for 30 minutes. When the bottom of the box is cured, apply some liquid clay to the inside of the box. Roll some turquoise clay out to the medium setting on your pasta machine. Use the largest template to cut a strip from the clay. Place the strip inside the box and then trim away any excess. Use a texture sponge to thoroughly texture the inside of the box. Roll out some turquoise clay at the medium setting of your pasta machine. Use the 2.5-inch cutter to cut a square from the clay. Place the square of clay in the bottom of the inside of the box. Then use the texture sponge to thoroughly texture the clay. Trim away any excess clay at the top of the box, and then cure the box, tented, at the manufacturer's recommended temperatures, tented for 30 minutes. For the lid, roll out some scrap clay at the thickest setting of your pasta machine, and then cut a 2.5-inch square from it. Use your clay blade to neaten up the sides of the square, and then cure, tented, at the manufacturer's recommended temperatures for 30 minutes. When the lid is cured, apply some liquid clay to one side. Roll out ultramarine clay at the medium setting of your pasta machine, and then cut a 2.5-inch square from it. Place the ultramarine clay on the lid. Press from the center outward to remove any air bubbles. Use a texture sponge to thoroughly texture the ultramarine clay. Trim off any excess clay from the edge, and then cure the lid again, tented, at the manufacturer's recommended temperatures for 30 minutes. When the lid has cured, apply liquid clay to the non-textured side. Cut a 2.5-inch square from turquoise clay that's been rolled out on the medium setting of your pasta machine. Place it on the lid and press from the center outward to remove any air pockets. Use a texture sponge to texture the turquoise clay. Use the texture sponge to push the clay over the edge of the lid, covering the sides. Trim off any excess clay, and then cure the lid as before for 30 minutes. When the lid has cured, roll out wasabi clay at the thickest setting of your pasta machine and cut a 2-inch square. Apply some liquid clay to the wasabi clay. Center the wasabi clay on the bottom of the lid and then cure again for 30 minutes. Roll out some wasabi, some turquoise, and some ultramarine clay at the medium setting of your pasta machine. Then create a stack. Place a piece of scrap veneer on top of the stack. Place some plastic wrap over the stack. Use any small cutter to cut a handle for the top of the lid. Apply some liquid clay to the bottom of the handle. Then center the handle on the lid. Cure the lid once more for 30 minutes. And that's it. That's the last step. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out all the great videos from the Tiny Pandora design team. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share.